Have you ever had one of those ideas, the kind you scribble on a napkin and you think, this could be huge? Well, ever wonder how that actually happens? Today, we are mapping out that exact journey. We're going to break down the whole thing from that first little spark of an idea all the way to a massive, life-changing exit.
So let's get right to it. What does it really take? Is it just about being a genius, or getting incredibly lucky, or is there something more to it? Well, it turns out it's way less about some magic moment and a lot more about a process. A really tough one, for sure, but one that you can actually follow. So let's dive in.
Okay, so every great company starts with the same thing, right? An idea. But let's be honest, ideas are cheap. The real question is, where do the good ones come from? This first stage, it's all about finding that initial spark and then, and this is crucial, trying your absolute best to kill it.
You see, world-changing ideas rarely just appear out of thin air. They're usually found by following a pattern. You can find a really common, frustrating problem and just solve it. Or you can build a better mousetrap. Think about how Netflix completely destroyed Blockbuster. You could also lean into what you uniquely know, your own expertise. Or, and this one's clever, you can try an adjacency test. That's just a fancy way of saying you take a business model that works, like subscriptions, and apply it to a totally new industry. The point is, there's a method to this madness.
So you've got it. You have your idea and you're buzzing with excitement. This is the moment for a huge mental shift. Before you spend a dime, before you write a single line of code, your #1 job is to become your idea's biggest critic. You have to try and prove, with facts, that it's actually a terrible idea.
So how on earth do you do that? Well, the secret is to avoid asking your friends, hey, do you like my idea? Because, let's face it, they're going to lie to be nice. Instead, you use something called the mom test. You ask about their life, their past behavior. Questions like, tell me about the last time you had to deal with this problem. Their answer, what they actually did, will tell you everything you need to know about whether the pain is real. That is where you find out if you've got something.
All right, you validated it. The problem is real. People are desperate for a solution. Now it's time to build. But you can't do it by yourself, and you can't build the whole grand vision at once. This next phase is all about getting the right people on the bus and creating the absolute simplest first version of your solution.
There's this classic, almost mythical combination for a founding team. It's the trio. You need the hacker, the person who can actually build the thing. You need the hipster, the one with the vision for the product and design, making it something people love to use. And then you need the hustler, the person who can go out there, sell the dream, and bring in the customers. If you can cover these three bases, you are way ahead of the game.
But once you have that dream team, how do you make sure everyone sticks around for the long, hard journey ahead? That's where something called a vesting schedule comes in. The standard deal is a 4-year plan with a 1-year cliff. What does that mean? It means you get 0% of your ownership stake until you've been there for a full year. After that 1-year mark, you start earning a piece of it every single month. It's a non-negotiable tool to protect the company if one of the founders bails early. Now, let's talk about the product. You don't go into a cave for 2 years and emerge with a perfect, finished thing. No way. You use the lean startup method. You build a minimum viable product, an MVP. It's just the absolute core features, nothing more. Then, you get it into the hands of real users and you measure everything they do. And finally, you learn from that data. Do we keep going on this path, persevere, or do we need to make a change, pivot? This loop, build, measure, learn, is basically the modern operating system for creating things people will actually pay for.
Okay, so you have a team, you have an early product, and things are starting to work. But to grow really, really fast, you're probably going to need money. And that brings us to the high-stakes world of fundraising, where you trade a piece of your company for the capital you need to hit the accelerator.
Fundraising isn't just a one-and-done thing. Think of it like climbing a ladder. You start small, with what's called a pre-seed round from yourselves, your friends, your family. Then you climb to a seed round from professional investors to really find your footing. Once you prove the model works, you raise a big Series A to scale it, followed by even bigger rounds, B, C, D, for total market domination. Each step up that ladder means more money, but also giving up more of your company.
So let's put some real numbers on this. A typical seed round is somewhere in this ballpark. But what's this money for? It's not for a fancy office or huge marketing budget. No. This is your search capital. It's the money you use to find the holy grail of startups, product-market fit. It's the budget you have to run experiments and find that perfect, magical connection between what you've built and a market that's desperate for it.
And then, once you found that fit, bam, you're ready for a Series A. And as you can see, the numbers get a whole lot bigger. That's because the mission has completely changed. You're not searching for a business model anymore. You found it. Now it's time to pour fuel on the fire. This is the money you use to build a sales team, to ramp up marketing, and to grow as fast as humanly possible.
And that brings us to the next phase, the really fun part. You've validated the idea, you've built the team, you've got the product, you've secured the fuel. Now it is time for the ascent. That period of insane, rapid growth that separates a real startup from just a small business. The entire key to this phase is achieving what the legendary venture capitalist Marc Andreessen calls product-market fit. You'll know you have it when you literally can't keep up with demand, when new customers are showing up faster than you can serve them, when the whole business just feels like it's being pulled forward by the market. Before you have this, trying to scale is like pushing a boulder uphill. After, it's like riding a rocket ship.
And here is the simple, beautiful math that powers every scalable business on the planet. For your company to work, the lifetime value of a customer, which is the total profit you'll ever make from them, has to be way higher than what it costs you to get them in the door, your customer acquisition cost. A healthy business shoots for a ratio of at least 3 to 1. So if you spend $1 to get a customer, you need to make at least $3 back over time. If you can get this equation right, you have a money printing machine. After all those years of grinding and building, you've finally reached the summit. The company is a success, it's incredibly valuable. But all your ownership, all that equity, it's still just paper wealth. The final step in this whole epic journey is the exit, the moment all that paper gets turned into actual life-changing cash.
Now, there are really two main ways to get to the finish line. By far the most common is an acquisition. This is where a much bigger company, like a Google or a Microsoft, just buys you outright. The other path, which is way more rare, is an IPO, an initial public offering. That's when you go public and sell shares of your company on a stock exchange. This is a massive, company-defining event, the stuff of legends.
So let's make this real for a second. What does this actually look like? Let's say your company gets acquired for $50 million. And after all those funding rounds, you, the founder, still own 20% of the company. Well, you do the math. That's a $10 million payday. That one number, that is what keeps people going through all the brutal years of building. But in the end, and this is maybe the most important takeaway of all, the journey isn't really just about that number. The money, as this quote says, is a byproduct. It's the result of something much deeper. It's the market rewarding you for creating something meaningful, for solving a real problem, and for executing on that vision with an obsession for excellence. The fortune is just the confirmation that you built something that truly mattered.